What we're going to cover now is the tract. This is going to be the simple way of showing LDS people a problem with the first vision. This is the tract that I came up with probably 15, 20 years ago. I don't even know. It's the first tract I wrote that I still print. I wrote a couple of them that were crummy before this one. But this one here I wrote, just one day I just said, hey, there's a couple of things people are forgetting. And I can't believe that nobody's written on it. So I pass that around. And so take one and pass it around. And it's just like really, really simple. I want to cover it with you. On the front cover, it says total apostasy. And that's really what we're talking about. So I'm going to turn this on again. You might dim a few lights for me. And so I wanted it to be a friendly tract. So I didn't want, if you have the devil with the pitchfork and the, all the flames and fire, the LDS parents look at that and go, where'd you get that? And I didn't want that to happen, right? Right. So it's like, I wanted it to be a friendly tract, so they look at it and go, oh, that's in the first vision, okay. So I asked a buddy of mine to draw a first vision picture so I wouldn't be copywriting it or taking something from somebody else. So that's what that's about. Get that focused a little bit here. Okay, so there's the nice first vision picture. You got Joseph Smith here on his knees, and it says Joseph Smith's first vision. And you have God the Father and Jesus Christ in the air, and obviously the back guy is Jesus because he's got a little hole in his wrist. Okay, and when you're looking at the front of it there, it says total apostasy. I could say universal apostasy, and that'd be fine too. The only thing that would be bothersome with the Mormon when you're looking at this is that question mark. And they're kind of used to question marks, but that's a big one. And it's right in the middle. So there's the offense right there. If you're offended by a question mark, there it is. So I'm trying to keep the offense small, but I still have to ask the question. So I put the question mark right there. There it is. So that's going to clue them in a little bit. We're asking a question, So it's more of inquisitive than offensive. So like I told you before, it's okay to be offensive, but I don't want to be offensive for offensive's sake. I just want to be offensive only for Jesus' sake. So if you open it up into the center, open that brochure up like this. We're going to go to the center now. Okay, so here's the outside. We're going to go to the center. And in the center of that, this is going to be really simple. You're going to love this. There are 3 scriptures, okay? And I numbered them. 1, 2, 3. Is that good or what? It's not hard. 3 things to remember. I'm kind of like, I like simple. So we start out with the pearl of great price, Joseph Smith History 119. We just read that. That's the first vision, isn't it? I was answered, I must join none of them. Okay? That establishes the total apostasy. The problem with the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants, that's 2 and 3, is that they disagree. Can you believe that? The Book of Mormon says there can never be a total apostasy. And the Doctrine and Covenants says there can never be a total apostasy. Okay? Did you get that? This is simple, but some people don't get that. So what did I just say? They contradict each other. Mormons don't like that word, contradict, okay? So you won't see it here. That's the answer to the question mark. But I don't use the word contradict because they're going to throw it away. I want them to read through the whole thing before they run into the problem, okay? So there's no word, these contradict. So these 2 here, 2 and 3, contradict number 1. And number 1 is the foundation of the church. So number 2 and number 3 blast the church out of the water. The Book of Mormon, your worst enemy. The Doctrine and Covenants, your worst enemy. Because it says that Joseph Smith lied. But who wrote the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants? Joseph Smith. He needs 3 feet, doesn't he? Because he's shot 2 of them already. Right? Okay? I mean, this is the way it works with Mormonism. If you really look at their stuff is their own worst enemy. Okay, so we know the original, so I'm going to read this to you just because I think we should, so you can go look at your tract and read it. You're going to understand this tract and read the whole thing. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the LDS Church, claims that Christ's authority vanished from the earth sometime after his apostles died. The LDS Church calls this a total apostasy or universal apostasy because they claim that there was not one person left who could act with the authority of God. According to the accepted version of Joseph Smith's first vision, Jesus came back to earth to tell Joseph Smith to restore the true gospel again to the earth. We will explore this topic by studying what the official LDS scriptures say. Joseph Smith's first vision found the pearl of great price. There it is. Okay? We read that. The square around the box says, I was answering much joy, none of them, for they are all wrong. Okay? That's the total apostasy. They have to all be wrong. So, establishing in total apostasy. This is the words after that part right there. We are to establish all things, including teachings, on the testimony of two or more witnesses. According to Joseph Smith's testimony, recorded in the Pearl of Great Price, he went out in the woods alone to pray. A problem? Right off the bat. I just stopped there. I don't go any farther. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but there you are. Just a point. According to Joseph Smith, the second voice he heard was the voice of the Lord of Mormonism. Okay, verse 17. This Lord said in verse 19 that all existing churches were wrong. All their creeds and professors are corrupt. They were all wrong. So, we have this total apostasy on the authority of Jesus Christ of Mormonism by the testimony of only one witness, Joseph Smith. Today, the LDS Church claims it has the right to exist because Joseph Smith claimed he was called by this Jesus to restore the true church on earth. Okay? You've kind of got this background already. We talked about it a little bit before. So I want you to understand this, so when Jerry comes next week, you're going to have this down. You're going to get it. Okay, so now we're going to go to a contradiction. The Book of Mormon. 3 Nephi chapter 28. This is on the test. Okay?
Well, Marshall,
yeah.
So what do you quote that you would like to establish all things in the testimony of two or more witnesses?
I don't do anything with that. I leave the two or more witnesses alone. I just let them see that there's only one testimony of one witness, and I go on. So I just want them to know it's only by testimony of one witness, that's Joseph Smith, and I let it go. So they can see that, that's not quite right, but I don't ever say it's wrong. I just let them see that there's only one witness here, and I go on. Because as they start realizing what's wrong, they're going to go, wait a minute, don't we need two witnesses? And they're going to think for themselves on that issue. So I just bring it up, little flag, and then take it back down. Okay? Exactly. Little flag, take it back down. And it just kind of gives them something to think about, right? Okay? That's not my point, so I don't dwell on it. Just a little chink in the armor. Okay? Okay, now, this is the issue. The Book of Mormon. 3 Nephi, chapter 28. So, this is how easy it is to remember. Nephi is the first book, and there's 4 Nephis in there. Okay? Different prophets. All named Nephi. The 3rd Nephi talks about 3 Nephites. And that's a key issue. So 3rd Nephi is easy to remember. You have to memorize 28. 3rd Nephi 28. Okay? So this is going to talk about 3 Nephites. Here we go. Book of Mormon tells us Jesus visited the American continent. He picks out 12 more apostles to spread the LDS gospel. So the Jesus of the Book of Mormon comes to the American continent, picks out 12 more apostles. Now he told the apostles in the old world to go into all the world, except the American continent, right? You don't remember that? Yeah. This is a little thing here. I like to say that the Jesus of Mormonism is a sneak. He goes behind the backs of those 12 he told to go to all the world, and he sneaks around and gets the American continent where they weren't looking. Okay? But I don't tell the Mormons that at this point. The heading of chapter 28 says, 3 Nephites are given power over death so as to remain on earth until Jesus comes again, and they are now ministering among men. Okay, this is the fountain of youth. Okay? The fountain of youth. Okay? Jesus comes and says, okay, you got 12 here, and you 3, I'm going to let you stay until I come again in all my power and glory. 3 apostles. Okay? And here's how he does that. The heading for chapter, going on. Verses 6 through 9, ye have desired the thing which John, my beloved, who was with me in my ministry before I was lifted up, that means crucified, by the Jews, desired of me. So John, my beloved, that would be one of the original 12. Peter, James, and John, that guy. Okay? Therefore, so he's saying these 3, okay? Therefore, more blessed are ye, for ye shall never taste of death. But ye shall live to behold all the doings of the Father unto the children of men, even until all things shall be fulfilled according to the will of the Father. When I shall come in my glory with the powers of heaven, and ye shall never endure the pains of death, for ye have desired that ye may bring the souls of men unto me while the world shall stand. So, these guys, these three apostles, want to do evangelism. They want to win souls to Christ while the world shall yet stand. And they know they're going to die. So they ask Jesus for a special favor. Can we hang around until you come back in your glory? But they don't even ask him. It's just in their mind. He knows their mind. He can read their mind. He knows what they're asking. So he says, therefore, more blessed are ye. I know the desires you have. This is your desire. And you're more blessed because you've been called to a higher calling, basically. And so I'm going to let you stay around winning souls to Christ, to me, until I come in all my power and glory.
This is from a dummy. Where are they now?
Good question. Very good dummy. Very good. Yeah, all of us are dummies in that one. We don't know. Nobody knows. So we're all a bunch of dummies. Okay, so don't feel too dumb. Even the smarties are dummies. Okay, Fountain of Youth, 3 Nephite apostles. This is what the application is. Now you can read 3rd Nephi, chapter 28, the whole chapter, and you get all this in there. Now, all I'm doing is pulling out the most important section so you get the gist. And most Mormons know this stuff already if they've been Mormons very long. They've never put the three together. They know the three individually, but they've never put the three together. So it's only going to be Christians that say, hey, remember the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants of Purgatory Place? Let's put those three together and compare. They've never done that. This is what's really going to get them, okay? Yeah.
Where does the word Nephi come from?
Nobody knows. Joseph Smith. Where did the word Nephi come from? Joseph Smith, okay? We don't know. It's supposed to be a prophet. And then if you read the Book of Mormon, there's two different groups, and some of the Nephites and some of the Lamanites, and from the guy named Nephi and a guy named Laman.
So were these Native Americans?
They were Jews that came to America across the Atlantic Ocean. Okay? Before Columbus sailed the ocean blue, the Nephites sailed the ocean blue, okay? Yeah, there's no evidence for this, right? This is all Book of Mormon. The only evidence is inside that book, okay? All right, so Fountain of Youth. 3 Nephite apostles. Jesus of the Book of Mormon has stated that he will not allow 3 of his Nephite apostles. They don't like the word apostles. In the Book of Mormon, it calls them disciples. Okay? In Mormon literature all over the place, it calls them 12 apostles. So we're going to get into some of that later on. But they will like to argue with you on this word. Okay? They didn't have authority? Jesus established his church with no authority? Well, no. Well, then the disciples had just as much authority as the other 12 on the other side, the other old world? Well, yeah. Okay, well, back and forth. They don't want, when you bring it up, they don't want to think that they're full apostles. When the church brings it up, they're full apostles. So you just have to get over that, get through it. So he will allow his 3 Nephite apostles to suffer death, not to suffer death, okay? And but they will continue living until Christ's second coming. Jesus gave these Nephites full apostleship with all the authority to act in his name. Now, we haven't really talked about authority and about Christians, so I'm going to stop and talk about authority. You've probably been worried or bothered by this whole thing, authority. Now, who has all authority in heaven and on earth? Raise your hand. That's right. Good. Very good. Trick question. Who has all authority in heaven and on earth? Raise your hand. I had some hands go up, right? No. Who has all authority in heaven and on earth? Jesus. Now, how much authority do you have? None. Really? No authority? Well, why are you baptizing then?
Well, Jesus said, all authority in heaven and earth has been given unto me, and I take what is mine and give it to you. He's speaking of people.
Doesn't say it that way. He says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. What does he say after that? Go therefore. And make disciples. Okay, so if we look at the English language, how much authority did he give you?
Make disciples of baptism.
All authority.
This is called the Great Authority Transfer, right? Commission. Oh, so we have commission by the one who has all authority? Is that cool? How much authority do you need? You don't need any authority. He's got it all. If he gave 50% to me, I'd mess it up. Okay? If he gave you 20%, you probably do the same. All right? I don't want any authority. I want commission by the one who has all authority. Right? So when I talk to the Mormons, I say, it's really a shame you guys don't have the authority. We don't have authority either. No, so you guys don't have authority. I say, oh, really? You're right. I don't have authority. You go, really? You're going to agree with me? Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have authority. But you see,
So we have commission. We get
yeah.
commission.
But see, the problem with you guys is you don't have commission either. See, I have commission by the one who has all authority in heaven and earth. I can show you where he says he has all authority in heaven and earth. Why the Father gave it to him. So if he has all the authority, how much do I have? None. Guess what, guys? You don't have it either. Okay? I have commission. I don't need authority. I don't want authority. I don't want to mess it up, okay? But I get commissioned by the one who has all authority in heaven and earth. So there's the authority thing. When you see that, and there's a brochure on that too in my in my case down here. We'll get that. It's a little one, little square one. I gave it out already? Okay, good. It's a little badge. And so it talks about your badge of authority, and then goes to Matthew chapter 28 and talks about the great authority transfer. No, it talks about the Great Commission, okay? It's not called the Great Authority Transfer. So we got through that. Let's go on. So, reviewing, these Nephites have full apostleship. They have the authority to act in his name, the same as apostles of the old world. And you'll see that in Moroni 2:2. If you go to Moroni 2:2, it talks about the 12 apostles established in the old world, 12 apostles established in the new world. Okay? That's in the Book of Mormon. That's the last book, Moroni 2:2. They are presently ministering among men to bring their souls unto Christ of the Book of Mormon. This means that 3 apostles who are nearly 2,000 years old are still doing this today. They're evangelizing today. Why? Because Jesus hasn't come in all of his power and glory yet, has he? No. Or the Book of Mormon's wrong. Book of Mormon can't be wrong, right? So if the Book of Mormon's not wrong, then the apostles are here somewhere. They're probably dressed like you and me. We've heard stories like that. Mormons have heard stories like that. So, it could have been, somebody brought the gospel to one of my buddies, and could it have been one of the Nephites, There's stories like that all over the place, all right? They even write books about it. Okay, so that's the 3 Nephites. Now, I mentioned there's 12 apostles, and only 3 of them get to stay till Jesus comes, right? So what's the book we're going to memorize? 3rd Nephi, about the 3 Nephites, right? Pretty easy, right? That makes it, I didn't make it this easy. It was already there, okay? 3 Nephites, chapter 28. That's it. You memorize that, you got the test. 3 Nephites, chapter 28. 3rd Nephi 28. Okay. So you got 3 full-fledged apostles there. Let's go to D&C 7. It's Doctrine and Covenants. Okay. And it says, the heading of the D&C 7 says, John the Beloved shall live until the Lord comes. Verse 1 through 7. John, my beloved, what desirest thou? And I said unto him, Lord, give unto me power over death, that I may live and bring souls unto thee. And the Lord said unto me, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, because thou desirest this, thou shalt tarry until I come in my glory, and shalt prophesy before nations, kindreds, tongues, and people. And for this cause the Lord said unto Peter, My beloved has desired that he might do more or a greater work yet among men than what he has before done. Therefore I will make him a flaming fire and a ministering angel. He shall minister for those who shall be heirs of salvation who dwell on the earth. We're not going to Mars. No green men here, okay? Pretty simple. So that's what he's going to do. And he's telling this to Peter. And then he says, and I will make thee, that's Peter, to minister for him and for thy brother James, and unto you 3 I will give this power and the keys of this ministry until I come. So if you read this carefully, how many are there in D&C 7? 3. Mormonism does not even know of 3 with the keys. D&C 7, according to Mormonism, notice what it says in the heading, John the Beloved shall live until the Lord comes. Can't even read their own scriptures right. Their own scripture says, and to you 3 I will give the keys of this ministry until I come. The Mormons don't know that. They can't read that last sentence. They don't know that. The apostles don't know that. The prophets don't know that. Nobody sees that verse.
I mean, do you mean that literally?
Literally. Today, when you read commentaries on this, they will talk about John the Beloved. So, I don't go into that, all right? What I do again is I talk about the 3 Nephites and John the Beloved. Okay, now if they talk with me and we start talking, then we go into the depth of it and say, hey, did you see this verse? But I don't do that in the beginning. So I'm going with you to show you more of what's going on with this scripture than what even the Mormons know. When you talk to Mormons, they have no clue that James and James and Peter are with John. They have no idea. When they read that, they don't even get it. Well, okay. It says, Brother James. And to thee, okay, he's talking to Peter, to thee and Brother James about John.
So that's 3.
That'd be 3, wouldn't it?
Right.
Yeah, I'm a math major. I can still count to 3. But the Mormons can't. So they only got 1 here. I read the whole thing, it's only 1, John. Okay?
Marshall, I don't know, how significant is it in, I'm backing up over into the Book of Mormon in the middle of the passage between 6 and 9. It says, therefore, my beloved, how blessed are ye, for ye shall never taste of death, that ye shall live to behold all the doings of the Father unto the children of men. What significance? Why not men? What's this, the children of men?
The doings of the Father unto the children of men.
Yeah, what's the about?
Basically, that's us. We're the children of men. So, to the people. To people from generations and generations.
I see.
Yeah, so that's what that means. So he's saying that more blessed are ye, for you'll never taste of death, but you'll live and behold the doings of the Father unto the children of men, even until all things have been fulfilled, according to the will of the Father, when I shall come in my glory and powers. So he's saying, from now on, you're gonna see what the Father's doing unto the children of men until I come in my power. That's what that definition of that is. Okay? Just a clarification question there. All right, now, so you see what's going on here. We have 3 plus 1. So I'm bringing up other issues, but you notice I just let them go. All right? Because I want to talk about what they know. And this is all they know. So we're just going with what they know, and I want to show them that what they know has a problem in it. It's a contradiction. Okay, so far they've read everything. They're not a problem. I don't say, hey, guess what? There's 3 over here. Can they go, what? That's not what I want. That's not the issue I want to bring up. So I'm going to be real specific about the issue I want to bring up. Yes?
How can they not know? It's right there.
I just talked to Mormons. They don't know. You go talk to any Mormon, ask them, there's 3 Nephites, right? And in the old world, how many are there? John the Beloved, is there any others? They're going to go, no. There aren't any others. Okay? They get to stay alive until Jesus comes in his glory, in the power. So there's 3 Nephites.
3 Nephites plus he's saying that John, Peter.
John the Beloved. No, just John the Beloved. They don't know about Peter and James. They don't know. They haven't got it. Not going to happen. You're not going to run into a Mormon that goes, oh yeah, 3 and 3. Ain't going to happen. I've never found one. Okay? Now I may teach them and then they go, well, yeah, 3 and 3, it does say that. But they've never heard it from any Mormon, okay? So you're the ones that are going to help them out. They're not going to get helped out normally by the Mormon church. Okay, John the Beloved Apostle still lives. I'm going to go on. I'm just letting you know what's going on. You're going to go, how can that be? But it really is, so trust me. Going on. John the Beloved Apostle still lives. Okay, we find here that John the Beloved, one of the original apostles, was also allowed to stay alive on earth, winning souls to Christ until Jesus' second coming. Thus, according to the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants, we have 3 Nephite apostles and 1 original apostle who will never die. The 2 LDS scriptures agree, making a total of 4 full-fledged apostles, staying alive, evangelizing until Jesus' second coming. If these apostles could not bring souls to Christ, they didn't have no authority and they weren't very effectual, right? They really didn't know what they're doing. Jesus didn't teach them well. I don't know. Then Jesus would have done a vain work by allowing them to stay alive all this time, only attempting to win souls without having any real success. Now, they don't like that idea, and they shouldn't. Total apostasy. On that very day in 1820, when Joseph Smith went out in the woods to pray, these 4 were hard at the Lord's work bringing souls to Christ. There's the contradiction. When they read that sentence, they're going to go, huh? On that very day. There's the problem. They had to get to the back to find the problem. I was showing you problems all along, but they didn't see it yet. There's where the first problem they're going to have. They got clear to the back. They see a problem. They've never seen that before. If Jesus was successful at starting his true church on 2 continents, one in the old world and one in the new world, these 4 apostles would be successful at keeping them going with all their converts. A new thought for Mormons. They've never had that thought before. Wow. Okay. After being personally trained by Jesus himself, they would be pretty effective, wouldn't you think? You want to be trained by me, by the Missionary Training Center in Provo, Utah, or Jesus? Mormons always tell me Jesus. Yeah, me too. Okay? Can you imagine how many new members these 4 experts would have made if they only converted one person each month for their extended lifetime of full-time service, even if none of their converts converted anybody else? You know, no pyramid scheme here, right? You just convert just one every month, 4 of you, running around. 4 times 12 is, you know, carry the 2, I don't know, a couple. So, can you imagine how many new members these 4 would made in full-time service? How does this compare to 2-year mission? Not so good, right? Starting with these 4 men, in 100 years, there would be 4,800 new believers. That'd be enough for at least a couple churches, wouldn't it? And at least some of their children and their children's children, because they were born in them, you know. Of course, Christ's apostles would make sure their converts joined Christ's true established church to learn to be obedient to the ordinances and commandments of God and for fellowship. They can't complain about that either, can they? Notice I said you had to follow the commandments and ordinances of God, because that's what they want to think that you have to do to be saved. It's not really how you get saved, but I'm speaking Mormonese here, okay? As these churches grew, they would have to build their other buildings to house new members, and as the apostles went on missionary journeys, they would establish Christ Church in other countries. Thus, there would be many local churches in many places. Just like the Mormon church does today, when they expand, they put up a new trailer and then they build a new building. It's not a different church. It's still part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's just another building for the true church. The true church can have plenty of buildings. It's the same church because it's established by the same authority, by the same apostles, right? So it's still the same. Because they want to say it's not. Which church should Joseph join? That's a question now, okay? Now that we've established that there were, but even if there were only these 4 apostles in existence on that very day and Joseph went out alone to pray, Jesus would have known about them, wouldn't he? I think so. The Jesus of Joseph Smith's first vision doesn't seem to know anything about these men. How could he forget his promise to his apostles? He should have answered that Joseph should join none of them except the church led by John the Beloved in Jerusalem, or Nephi number 1 now in Australia, or Nephi number 2 in Mexico, or Nephi number 3 maybe in New York, right? Where Joseph was. The Jesus of the first vision has a memory problem. Right? He just forgot. It's been so long, you know. Oh, yeah, I guess I did have a promise with those guys, didn't I? Wonder what happened to them guys. Hope they're still alive. You know, I mean, do you believe in the Jesus of the first vision who says there's a total apostasy? Don't join none of them there because they're all wrong. Or do you believe in the Jesus of the Book of Mormon and Doctrine and Covenants who says there can never be a total apostasy because he guaranteed on his word that there will always be a minimum of 4 full-fledged apostles on the earth? Which Jesus do you believe in? How about which Joseph Smith do you believe in? The one who wrote the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants by inspiration of God? Or the one who told us of our first vision encounter with the Jesus who can't remember what he's done?
Well, I gotta think that one over. And then your phone number. So you get
Yeah.
these irate calls?
No. Well, you know, what are they going to call me? Say I'm wrong? Who's going to call me and tell me I'm wrong? I'm asking questions, huh? I mean, I'm just confused, okay? I'm just a confused Protestant. You know, I protest against to false churches, all right? I don't really know. So if you could tell me the answers to the questions, these are honest questions I have, I don't know. I don't know a Mormon who knows either. And they're not going to tell me Mormonism is wrong, and I kind of think that might be the right answer. No, not denial.
Yep.
Now, I have a couple of Pink Panthers, little stuffed animal type things, you know, and I saw them at a store someplace, Seattle or someplace, and I said, oh, Pink Panthers. I bought a big one and a little one. And you remember the cartoon? Pink Panther is Snagglepuss. Remember what Snagglepuss used to do? Yeah, that's the one, exit stage right. Yes. So I named it Elder Snaggle. Exit stage. Oh, Marshall's here. Oh. That's what's going to happen with you guys, because you're going to have the answers that they don't have. You're going to have the questions they don't know. And the answer is Mormonism's wrong, and they're not going to tell you that. So you just keep asking the question and go, well, how do you figure that out? You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. You're not really a dummy. Can you tell me? I mean, you've been a Mormon how long? Could you show me how to do this? I don't get it. I'm just a dummy, okay? Help me. You're an anti-Mormon. Am I reading your scriptures? Is it scriptures anti-Mormon? Is that what? Did I have anything anti-Mormon there? I just like to know the answer to the Mormon scriptures. Are these really scriptures? Well, then there should be an answer, right? Okay.
There's a question calling over here, and I think I can answer it to you. It's selective program training. That stuff. Cut it out.
Yeah.
28 years worth.
You didn't see it like this, did you? Nobody ever showed it to you. Yeah. Question back there.
Marshall, when you show this like do you get any reference, or what's actually possible to get?
What kind of response do I get? Well, good question. That's a good question. Well, you know, you have all kinds of Mormons. So you're going to have Mormons who just, you know, they're going to be Mormons anyway, you know, and you don't know that. So, you know, they're just going to blow you off, or they're just going to go, well, you just don't get it. And I go, yeah, I don't. You're right. Could you help me? You know, I don't have time right now. I'm not going to bother, and those kind of things. And that's okay. I don't mind. The ones that I'm really looking for, the ones that are looking for truth. Now, you're a truth seeker or not. When you're a truth seeker, it's like, well, if you're looking for truth, and I am too. And I think there's a problem here. And so I get all kinds of Mormons that I talk to. And the truth seekers, you're going to see Jerry Allen that comes this next week, he was a truth seeker. He didn't want to be. He wanted to be a Mormon the rest of his life. He did not want to be a truth seeker. But he got grabbed. He could not let it go. Huh? No, the Holy Spirit did that. I just helped him. Dave?
Well, Mormonism is a grand spiritual oppressive, and God has given them over this lie, left it be, you know, truth. And when you lay the axe to the tree, you ever go out and chop down a tree? I mean, if it's a great big tree, you ain't gonna get it all. You're probably gonna have your buddy finish you off, you know?
Do we have any volunteers?
Get it all done.
We have any volunteers?
As long as they're ingrained in it, you know, the inference is thy word giveth life, it giveth understanding to the simple. And what you're doing is really getting them to think about their own position. And that's some of the best things that you can do at that moment to realize how lost they are in it.
You know, when I was sitting there, what?
The man that you're talking about that's going to talk
Yeah.
this week. So, I mean, like, when did he get it?
Well,
Right away, or did it take him?
if you read the book by James R. Spencer called Have You Witnessed to a Mormon Lately? It's out of print. You have to look for it on the web. But if you get that book and read it, he'll tell you about 3 different levels of Mormons and how to witness to them. And he says that average Mormon takes 8 years to get out of the Mormon church. 8 years. Jerry took 9 months. Now, I could tell you the story of Jerry with me, my side of the story, and he'll tell you his side of the story. My side of the story was I'd been witnessing to Mormons for 4 years, and I went to Utah again. It was 1987. This time I decided I was going to hook up with Granny Gear. I had met her in 86, and I thought this lady was awesome. So I decided, I've just been praying. I'm just going to meet up with this lady, and I'm just going to, people wouldn't go with me back then, so I went by myself, So I said, I'm just going to meet up with this lady, and I'm going to drive her around. I'm going to be her chauffeur. then I get to meet her and I get to, be with her, rub a few shoulders, That'd be good, see? So maybe something will rub off, I could use some of that holy stuff, right? So she was at the Capstone Conference, and we had to go up the hill this year, and James R. Spencer came out with this book, and I'm going, I'm just, Lord, I'm witnessing the Mormons, and they're just not coming out. I don't get it, They're just not coming out. What's the deal? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what it is. And James R. Spencer came out with that book that year, 1987, and he spoke on it, and I said, there's the answer to my prayer right there. He just answered my prayer. It was James R. Spencer. Have you witnessed a Mormon lately? He pointed out there was 3 levels of Mormons, 3 kinds. There's the wimpy Mormon who doesn't care what you're saying anyway because he's just Mormon because mommy said so or whatever reason. The girls are there. He has all kind of ulterior motives. He's not really theological Mormon, okay? He's just there. Then you got the media, the thinking Mormon, the intellectual. He has his own labels for these groups, but I label them according to what I think. They're just thinkers, and so, they're regular, maybe they're math science guys like me, or whatever. And they're kind of thinkers, so that's kind of the average, intellectual type Mormon. And then you got the hardcore guy. He's a bishop, he's stake president, he's whole hog, Go for it, Mormon. Well, those are the guys I wanted to talk to. I didn't know where they were. I couldn't find them, And so at that same conference, John L. Smith raised up a shirt. It was a yellow one. Well, it wasn't yellow, it was white, with Joseph Smith on it with a big circle slash through it, and it said most false prophets in red on a white shirt. And I said, that is bold. And that was what he's talking about. This is bold. He says, I got 2 of them. I don't know why I bought 2, but I got 2. He says, mine is in the closet, and that's where it's going to stay. He says, I brought this one because somebody needs this shirt here, and I don't know who it is. And it's like, it wasn't me. I'm not that bold, So, but I just kept looking at that shirt, and I eventually bought it. I don't know if I told you the story about that yet. Have I told you that story? Okay, well, it's a good story. And I have to tell stories now and then. So, okay. He showed it. He talked about boldness, being bold for God. Walter Martin was still alive. He talked about boldness. And I just thought, I'm not bold enough. And I want to be bold. So I went up there after a little while. I thought somebody else will buy the shirt, right? So I walk up, and John's got his table and his books and stuff for sale. I said, so John, somebody buy the shirt? And he goes, what shirt? I said, the one you held up. I go, oh, you mean this shirt right here? He goes, no, nobody's bought it. You want to buy it? And I go, not me. And so we kept talking. I go, man, can I hold it? Wow, that's bold. Ooh, that would really be fun. Did you wear that shirt? Man. It's like, okay, we'll go back. He goes, you don't want to buy it? I go, I'd like to, but my wife's going to kill me if I pay $10 for a shirt I'll never wear, So I walked on down the table and, looked at the other tables and stuff and, all the books and stuff. I bought some. And I came back and I said, so anybody buy the shirt yet? He goes, nope, nobody has, Marshall. I think you're supposed to buy it. I said, I don't think so. My wife's not going to like that, So he says, here, you want to look at it again? I go, yeah, I do. Oh, man, that's so cool, So, but I gave it back to him again. And I walked back one table and I said, okay, I'm buying it. So I bought the thing for $10. It's like, oh. So I brought it to the Tri-Cities, and my wife goes, what'd you buy that shirt for? How it works, I'm not telling you. So one day I got courage, and I said, you know what? I'm going to wear this to the center. Columbia Center. I'm wearing it at Columbia Center. So I put the shirt on, I wore it to Columbia Center, and I went into the back door Bond Marche toward the center, and I didn't get to the hallway, and this Mormon guy with his little kid said, okay, what's the shirt mean? And so I started talking to him. And he was a little upset with me for wearing a shirt like that. That's Joseph Smith on the front there. Yeah. So we talked, and I said, I wore this because I knew if I wore this shirt that you would come up and talk to me, someone like you, because you wouldn't know where I stand if I didn't wear the shirt. So we wouldn't have this conversation. Well, why do you think Mormonism is wrong? So I started talking. I talked to the guy for an hour and a half or 2 hours with that one shirt.
Right there in the bond.
Right there in the bond.
Wow. Hallelujah.
Yeah. And I thought, cool. This is good bait, I got the hardcore. He was a bishop. It's like, wow, this is what I wanted to do. So my wife washed it for me. It was pink when it got done. It's like, ah. Yeah, so I had to make them yellow and with the, bright and all that. And so I printed them, and I've been using them ever since. It's been awesome. So it's the best bait you can have. The Mormons will come up to you just ticked. But you see, the wimpy Mormons will just walk by you because they're not interested in talking to you. Oh, you know. And the thinking Mormons, you get maybe 50% of them, you know. And the hardcore Mormons, they can't let it go by. You know, I got to fix that guy. He's broken. So they're going to fix me. I'm broke right here. Okay, get me. Target, right? So it works so good. I love it. So that's the story. Bob?
Oh, just to give you a comparison, like my dad will go to the Orient from time to time, and they'll have him go around to the hospitals and different things, they'll pray for the sick and get them all healed, and they come back, and it's typically never less than 2 years for a Muslim, even though they've been like raised from the deathbed. It takes them like 2 years or more before they actually make the transition and say, okay, I'm a Christian. It's more than 2 years. So this is tougher for a Mormon than it is for a Muslim to say, I should change religions. So, I mean, they have a battle. I mean, they struggle with it, you know. And they have certain series of questions. You'll typically see the first year you come back, and the second year you'll see a different set as they're kind of progressing through this migration of thoughts. And
Transfer, yeah.
Yeah, this battle, internal struggle. And you'll see them and usually come back the third year, and they've made a decision usually by 36 months.
See, I think everybody's so different. I mean, I've heard 8 years and I've heard 16 years from Mormons to get out of the Mormon church. And then, you know, my experience with the hardcores is, you know, they've been out, you know, once they, you know, it depends on whether you're talking the very first time you talked. I mean, Jerry's pretty quick, but I've helped other Mormons out. If they actually sat down and studied with me, I had one guy that was, he like served 4 missions of the Mormon church, got over 100 converts, and you know, him and his dad were both ex-missionaries, and he decided to debate me, but the Mormon church wouldn't let him debate, so we had meetings, and so I invited some of my close friends to come to the meetings, and you know, I expected to be witnessing with him for about 9 months, and it was only like 3 months, and he got out of the Mormon church, just like bingo. Well, he didn't know enough, so I was a little disappointed. And he came up to me and says, "You seem to be disappointed." I go, "Yeah, I am." Well, he says, "Well, I'm not Mormon anymore." I go, "I know that. And he said, "But you didn't study enough of it to stay out. You need to get, you know, rooted and grounded. So we still got more work to do, you know. So you're solid, you know. You just came out because you realized it was wrong. But that, you know, you need to get that foundation of the Bible." And so I was concerned about it, you know. And he's been waffling because he's a history guy. His source of truth is history. Well, the Catholic Church has problems. The Mormon Church has problems. The Protestant churches all have problems. There's all kinds of problems everywhere. So they're all wrong. You know, well, it's not your source of truth is wrong. That's the problem. So I couldn't get his source of truth transferred.
Well, I was hardcore, but I still had doubts, you know, insight, and mainly from your own doctrine, like you say. And so it took me about that long too, the 8 or 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got closer to trying to totally sever, the enemy came after me full strength,
Mm-hmm.
and I can remember there were days upon days that in my own head it was ping pong. It's true, it's not true, it's true, it's not true.
Yeah.
And he was just after me.
Yeah.
And it was hell. I mean, it was
Yeah.
terrible.
How many Christians did you have helping you?
Pardon me?
How many Christians did you have helping you?
Not real, no.
No. That's the problem, isn't it?
That was on
You were by yourself, weren't you?
on the internet,
Yeah.
things like
Isn't that a bummer?
It is.
You know, and I think that's a harder way to get out, not to have somebody alongside of you. I mean, Jerry had me alongside of him. Whenever he had a question, he'd call me. "Hey, Marshall, what about this?" And I'd say, "Okay, check this verse here." "Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, I'll get back with you." You know, and he would just go check the verses. He was a checker then. Before, he wasn't checking stuff. But now he's checking. They lied to me over here. They lied to him over here. I'm going to check. So he checked. We checked everything. Go look it up, you know. And I remember one time we were in the, we went to Bethel Baptist Church. He picked the church. I didn't pick it. And it turned out really awesome, though. But he'd been in church probably 4 years, and he said, "Well, I know that Jesus, that the Old Testament was Jesus, you know, everything in the Old Testament was Jesus was the God of the Old Testament." And I said, "No, Jerry, that's Mormonism." He goes, "Well, no, it's not." He says, "I learned that in the Protestant church." I said, "No, you didn't, Jerry. Not. Thank you." And no, not. And he goes, "Yeah, no." I said, "Okay, Jerry, knock it off. Come over to my house. I'll prove it to you." He says, "That's what I wanted to hear." "Okay, thanks." Well, in Mormonism, they teach that Jesus is the God of the Old Testament. So when the 10 Commandments were done by Jesus, not by God the Father or anything like that. The Creator is Jesus. Everything's Jesus in the Old Testament.
What did Jesus mean when he said to the Pharisees, when they questioned him about being that Abraham was their father, he said, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am." And he took the name of the voice of the burning bush.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't you use that as an argument?
You could.
So why
Yeah.
would that be wrong? Is
No.
Jesus not telling the truth, or?
Well, they've been taught to not trust the Bible.
Well, I'm just saying Jesus was the God of the Old Testament.
Not always, no. Not always. They think always.
Always has been.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning
And
was.
that's a different topic. We can talk about that a bit, but the Mormon Church teaches that Jesus, everything in the Old Testament has to do with God at all, was Jesus was the one, not God the Father. There is no God the Father. There is no God the Father in the Old Testament, basically, the way they.
Where do they think he went? God the Father. That's all God the Father.
Yeah, that's just, I don't know. But, that's just what I've run into, so.
Marshall Elohim that's in the Old Testament is their God the Father.
Right.
So-
And Jehovah is God, is Jesus, according to Mormonism. So that's another topic altogether, but that's just one of the things. There's a lot of things I'm not bringing into this class. That's one of them. And I'm not bringing in this class to teach you those things. So basically, I'm teaching you the basics. Those are things you're going to run into, and you're going to go, okay, what's this about? And you'll have to study it. Okay, I just study it too. But I don't want to get too complicated here to where people go, okay, man, my head's swimming all over the place. Because I'm probably going to make your head swim a little bit already. So that's just another topic, and we're going to say, okay, if you need to know that topic, get a hold of me. We'll show you some stuff to go read.
The Mormon Church has lots of money. They're very wealthy. They like to stay in because of the money.
Well, of course, yeah. Money and prestige, they want numbers. So I've got, 5 more minutes? Okay. We're gonna go through just a little bit of close up here so you can say that you got all this done, because I wanted to kind of go through this a little bit more. Yeah, this right here, I'm going to show you the headings of the older version. So this is just a little bit of stuff here that you don't know yet, but we want to just show you. This is the older version. It says 3 elect to remain on earth until the Lord comes in his glory, okay? So that's the 3. That's the pre-1981 version. And you can kind of tell that by the way the bottom of the page looks. If you look at this here, this is just a little like 1/2 inch or 1 inch footnotes. The newer one's in 3 columns. See the difference there? The footnotes. So you can just look at the page and tell if this is the new one, that's the old one. It's a single column in the bottom. This is 3 columns in the bottom. So that's the way, when you just look at a page, you can just know immediately. This is the newer one. It says they're translated and see many things not lawful to utter and are now ministering among men. So they're translated to heaven, and then they're changed a little bit, not all, and then they're brought back to earth and they're ministering now. So a lot of Mormons will say, well, they were translated to heaven, they're not here anymore. But that's not what Jesus said. This is 3 Nephi 28. And this is basically, if you read this section right here, up to verse 9. So about 2 to 9 is what I would normally read if you're reading the whole thing. And I'm just kind of giving you a real quick look at it. Here's a 3 Nephi 28, verse 13. It says, behold, the heavens were open, and they were caught up into the heavens, and saw and heard unspeakable things. And so that's the thing they're going to say, he was caught up. But then if you go on a little farther, in 4 Nephi it says, and it came to pass that the 70 and first year passed away, and also 70 and second year, yea, and in fine, until the 70 and 9th year all passed away. And, this is filler, by the way. You got to get all this filler in and make a big scriptures, right? Okay. And, yea, and in fine, till the 70 and 9th year had passed away, and yea, and 100 years had passed away. And the disciples of Jesus whom he had chosen, so now we're getting into something. We had all the years that have passed away, you have to keep repeating. Had gone into paradise of God, save it were the 3 that should tarry. So what he's saying is the other 9 went to heaven. These 3 are tarrying. And there were other disciples ordained in their stead. And also many that of that generation had passed away. So they ordained other disciples in the stead of the 9. Mormons don't know that, but there it is in their scripture. Okay? So there really is more information out there. When they start arguing with you, you can say, hey, we can find this stuff if you'd like. Journal of Discourses, volume 16, page 321, says this, Mormon, in speaking of these 3 men, inquired of the Lord whether they did receive a change to immortality at the time they were caught up. So that's what he's talking about here. when they were caught up to heaven. The Lord answered and told them that they did not receive a full change, but only so much as Satan had no power over them and sickness had no power over them. Okay? So they have a partial change. They're going to change in the twinkling of an eye when the Lord comes back. Okay? So that's pretty much gives you an idea of what's going on when they quote the change. So I'm going to show you one more scripture. I think we talked about this one before. No, I'm not going to show you that one. Let's see what else I got here. I thought, okay, this is some reasonings about whether one apostle still left alive, he holds the keys. One elder holds the keys. Now this is a little picture here. This is on a counter in Salt Lake City in the little chapel in the corner of the Temple Square. And that's the north counter. It's got a Book of Mormon photocopy on the front. And when you open it up, it has pages that talk about the Mormon gospel. And here it said, did Christ organize his church in ancient America? During his visit to the Book of Mormon people, Christ also appointed 12 apostles. Notice the word apostles there. Because in the Book of Mormon, it calls them disciples. The Mormon church on Temple Square is calling them apostles. Okay? They just try to discount what you're trying to say. They're trying to cut whatever you're trying to say and make what you're trying to say illegitimate. You don't really have a case. There isn't really a problem. And here's some Bible verses for you, and we're going to close. To him be glory in the church by Jesus Christ to all generations forever and ever. Ephesians 3:21. All generations? Can glory in Christ? What happened to total apostasy? Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he has said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee, so that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Hebrews 13. These are Christian verses. You know, is Jesus going to leave us or forsake us? No. Okay. This is the one I thought I had earlier. This is Doctrine and Covenants, section 3, verse 1. D&C 3:1. The works and designs and purposes of God cannot be frustrated, neither can they come to naught. For God does not walk in crooked paths, neither doth he turn to the right hand nor to the left, neither doth he vary from that which he has said. Therefore his paths are straight, and his course is one eternal round. Verse 3. Remember that it is not the work of God that is frustrated, but the work of man. So if I'm frustrating Mormonism, its scriptures, it isn't because it's the work of God. Okay? And we are done.